Welcome, dear friends, to our reflection on God's Word for this beautiful day, Tuesday, December 16th. It is a joy to be with you as we take a few moments to pause, to breathe, and to center our hearts on the wisdom found in examining the Scriptures daily. Today, we have a subject that touches every single one of us deeply. It is a subject that involves our physical well-being, our conscience, and most importantly, the precious unity of the Christian congregation. Our text for today is drawn from the letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 5. The words are brief, but their weight is profound. The Apostle Paul, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, writes, "Each one will carry his own load." Let us read that again, letting the principle sink into our minds. Galatians chapter 6, verse 5. Each one will carry his own load. When we consider the context of this verse, we find a beautiful balance in Jehovah's arrangement. Just a few verses earlier, in verse 2, Paul told the Christians to carry the burdens of one another. At first glance, this might seem like a contradiction. Are we to carry one another's burdens, or are we to carry our own load? The distinction lies in the Greek words Paul used. When he spoke of burdens in verse 2, he was referring to crushing weights, heavy troubles that are too much for one person to bear alone, perhaps a deep tragedy or a severe trial. In those cases, Christian love compels us to step in and help. But here, in verse 5, the word for load refers to a soldier's pack. It is the designated equipment that every individual soldier was expected to carry for himself. It represents our personal responsibilities, the duties and decisions that belong to us alone, which no one else can carry for us. One of the most significant loads or personal responsibilities we carry in these last days involves our health. Today, we are going to discuss the matter of health care, medical choices, and how we can balance our personal needs with the greater need for peace and unity in the congregation. Our study material comes from the Watchtower of July 2023, specifically looking at article number 29, paragraph 15. The theme of that article was Imitate Jehovah, Be Reasonable. And surely, reasonableness is a quality we need in abundance when we navigate the complex world of health and medicine. We live in times where sickness is rampant. The reality of human imperfection is that our bodies are frail. We all face health challenges, some minor, some life-altering. And because life is a gift from Jehovah, we quite naturally want to cherish it and protect it. We want to be healthy so that we can serve our God fully. Therefore, we are often faced with decisions. What treatment should I accept? What diet should I follow? Which doctor should I consult? The scriptural principle is clear. Each Christian must decide how to care for his own health. This falls squarely into the category of carrying one's own load. Now, does the Bible give us a medical textbook? Does it tell us which medications to take or which surgical procedures are best? No, it does not. Jehovah, in his infinite wisdom, has left these matters largely to our personal discretion. However, as with all things, our freedom is not absolute. It is guided by boundaries set by our Creator. There are only a few specific Bible laws that directly dictate a Christian's choice of medical treatment. These are non-negotiable because they come from the Supreme Sovereign of the universe. For instance, we have the clear command to abstain from blood. In the book of Acts, chapter 15, verse 20, the governing body of the first century wrote to the congregations instructing them to abstain from things polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from what is strangled, and from blood. This is a direct command. Therefore, a dedicated servant of Jehovah would not accept a blood transfusion, as this violates God's law on the sanctity of blood. Similarly, we have the command to avoid spiritism. In Galatians chapter 5, verses 19 and 20, Practice of Spiritism is listed among the works of the flesh that would prevent one from inheriting God's kingdom. This is vital because in the search for healing, some might be tempted to turn to treatments that involve occult powers, energy forces linked to false worship, or diagnostic methods that rely on extrasensory perception or divination. A Christian must be vigilant. If a treatment or a diagnostic tool is rooted in Spiritism, it is off limits for us, no matter how effective it claims to be. Our friendship with Jehovah is worth more than any temporary physical relief. But, dear friends, beyond these specific biblical prohibitions, abstaining from blood and Spiritism, lies a vast field of medical choices. This is the area of personal preference. It is a wide landscape. On one side, you have conventional medicine, hospitals, surgery, pharmaceutical drugs, and specialists. On the other side, you have alternative therapies, herbal supplements, chiropractic care, acupuncture, strict dietary regimens, and holistic approaches. And then there are countless options in between. Who decides what is right for you in this vast landscape? You do. You carry that load. And here is where the quality of reasonableness becomes so critical. We must recognize that because there is no direct Bible command for these other areas, brothers and sisters will make different choices. Two faithful pioneers, both loving Jehovah deeply, might face the exact same illness. One might choose a course of aggressive chemotherapy. The other might choose a change in diet and nutritional supplements. Is one faithful and the other unfaithful? Absolutely not. Is one wise and the other foolish? It is not for us to say. They are both carrying their own load of responsibility before Jehovah. No matter how strongly we feel about a form of treatment, we need to respect the right of our brothers and sisters to make their own healthcare decisions. This can be a challenge, can it not? If we have found something that worked wonderfully for us, perhaps a specific vitamin regimen that gave us our energy back, we are naturally excited. We want to share it. We want our friends to feel better too. That is a kind motive, but we must be careful. Our enthusiasm must never turn into pressure. We must never imply that if a brother does not follow our advice, he's neglecting his health, or worse, lacking in spiritual judgment. To help us navigate this delicate subject, the slave class has provided us with 4 key points to keep in mind. These points serve as guardrails, keeping us on the road of love and unity while we deal with health matters. The first point to keep in mind is this: only God's kingdom will bring complete and permanent healing. Let us turn our Bibles to the prophecy of Isaiah, chapter 33, verse 24. This is a promise that warms our hearts every time we read it. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 24 states, "And no resident will say, 'I am sick.' The people dwelling in the land will be pardoned for their error." Think about the depth of that promise. No resident will say, "I am sick." Today, hospitals are overflowing, doctors' waiting rooms are full, pharmacies are busy day and night. Sickness is the constant companion of humanity. We spend billions of dollars and endless hours trying to fight it. And sometimes, thanks to the intelligence Jehovah gave to humans, doctors can perform amazing feats. They can repair a heart. They can fight an infection. They can set a broken bone. But all of these healings, as wonderful as they are temporary. A person cured of a disease today will eventually face sickness or death later. The most advanced medicine in this system of things is merely a patch on a crumbling garment. If we lose sight of this fact, we can become unbalanced. We might become obsessed with finding a perfect cure now. We might spend all our time, energy, and resources chasing after the latest health fad, thinking that if we just find the right combination of herbs or the right doctor, we can attain perfect health. But the Bible reminds us that perfection is not available in this system. It belongs to the kingdom. This helps us to be reasonable. We take reasonable steps to care for our health so that we can keep serving Jehovah, but we do not place our hope in doctors or diets. We place our hope in the kingdom. We wait for the day when the eyes of the blind will be opened, the ears of the deaf will be unstopped, and the lame will leap like the deer. That is the only permanent solution. Keeping this in perspective helps us not to become overly dogmatic or frantic about our medical choices today. The second point we must remember is each Christian must be fully convinced of what is best for him. We find this principle in the letter to the Romans, chapter 14, verse 5. Let us read that together. Romans chapter 14, verse 5 says, "One man judges one day as above another. Another judges one day the same as all others. Let each one be fully convinced in his own mind." In the context of Romans chapter 14, the Apostle Paul was discussing matters of conscience regarding the observance of certain days or the eating of certain foods, but the principle applies perfectly to healthcare. Let each one be fully convinced in his own mind. This means we cannot simply drift along or blindly follow what others say. Because we are carrying our own load, we have a responsibility to do our due diligence. We need to research. When we are faced with a medical decision, we should weigh the facts. What are the benefits of this treatment? What are the risks? Is there anything about this treatment that might conflict with Bible principles? We can consult with medical professionals. We can look at reliable information. We can talk to trusted friends, but ultimately, the decision is ours. We cannot say, "I did this because brother so-and-so told me to." If things go wrong, brother so-and-so cannot carry the consequences for us. We must live with the results of our choices. Being fully convinced also implies that we should not be fickle, constantly swayed by every new wind of medical opinion. We make a prayerful, informed decision, and then we move forward, trusting in Jehovah to help us cope with the outcome. This personal conviction gives us dignity. It reminds us that we are accountable to Jehovah for how we treat the temple of our body. Now, let us move to the third point, which is crucial for the atmosphere of our congregation. We do not judge others or put a stumbling block before them. Please look at Romans chapter 14, verse 13. Paul writes, "Therefore, let us no longer judge one another, but instead make this your decision, not to put a stumbling block or an obstacle before a brother." This is where the rubber meets the road in our relationships. It is very easy to judge. If we are proponents of natural medicine, we might look at a brother who takes strong pharmaceutical drugs and think, he is poisoning his body. He does not respect the natural creation. Or conversely, if we trust in conventional science, we might look at a sister who relies on herbal teas and strict diets and think she is being foolish and ignoring real science. Both of these attitudes are judgmental. Both are dangerous. Who are we to judge the servant of another? To his own master he stands or falls. Jehovah loves that brother who takes the medication. Jehovah loves that sister who drinks the herbal tea. If Jehovah accepts them, we must not reject them or look down on them. Furthermore, Paul warns against putting a stumbling block before others. How might we do that in regard to health care? Well, imagine a brother who has a sensitive conscience. Perhaps he is very concerned about anything that might have a link to spiritism or false religion. If we aggressively promote a therapy that has questionable origins, or if we insist he try something that his conscience is uncomfortable with, we could be stumbling him. We could be causing him spiritual harm. Or consider this. What if we recommend a treatment to a brother, and he tries it, and his health gets worse? Or what if it is very expensive, and he spends money he cannot afford because he trusts us? We could cause him to become discouraged, perhaps even bitter. We could damage his faith or his relationship with the brotherhood. That is a stumbling block. Therefore, we must be extremely cautious. It is usually best not to turn the Kingdom Hall into a health clinic. Before the meetings and after the meetings, our conversation should primarily be about spiritual things, encouraging one another, sharing experiences from the ministry, discussing the Watchtower study. Of course, we care about each other's health, and we might briefly ask how someone is feeling, but we should avoid using these sacred times to market products, promote theories, or push our personal health agendas. This leads us directly to the fourth and final point. Christians show love and do not put their freedom to make personal choices ahead of the unity of the congregation. Let us read Romans chapter 14, verses 15, 19, and 20. These verses are the heartbeat of our discussion today. Verse 15 says, "For if your brother is being offended because of food, you are no longer walking according to love. Do not by your food ruin that one for whom Christ died." Verse 19 continues, "So then, let us pursue the things making for peace and the things that build one another up." And verse 20, "Stop tearing down the work of God just for the sake of food. True, all things are clean, but it is detrimental for a man to eat when it will cause stumbling." Notice the strong language Paul uses here. Ruin that one, tearing down the work of God. Is it really that serious? Yes, it is. If our insistence on a certain diet or health view causes division, arguments, or hard feelings in the congregation, we are tearing down what Jehovah is building. We are valuing our personal opinion more than the blood of Christ. Christ died for that brother or sister who disagrees with you about health care. Christ considers them precious. If we love Christ, we will love what He loves. We will prioritize the unity of the flock over our right to be correct about a medical theory. Paul mentions food in these verses because that was the controversial issue of his day, but we can easily substitute the word treatment or therapy. Do not by your health views ruin that one for whom Christ died. Stop tearing down the work of God just for the sake of medical opinions. What does this look like practically? It means that if we sense a conversation about health is becoming heated or divisive, we stop, we yield, we change the subject to something spiritual. It means we do not look down on those who choose differently. It means we do not form cliques based on health choices, where the natural health group only associates with each other and the conventional medicine group stands apart. We are one flock under one shepherd. We must pursue the things making for peace. Peace is not passive, it is something we must pursue. It requires effort. It requires swallowing our pride. It requires saying, "I love you more than I love my opinion." Think of the example of Jesus. He had perfect knowledge. He knew exactly how the human body worked. He could have given lectures on biology and hygiene that would have astounded the world, but he didn't. He focused on the kingdom. He focused on spiritual healing. He healed physical sicknesses to show his power and compassion, but his main work was teaching the truth about Jehovah. We do well to imitate him. Our main work is witnessing to the truth, not witnessing to a diet. So, dear brothers and sisters, as we go about our day, let us reflect on Galatians chapter 6, verse 5. Each one will carry his own load. Are you facing a health decision? Carry that load with dignity. Pray to Jehovah for wisdom. Do your research. Check the scriptures for any direct laws, but then make your decision and be at peace. Are you watching others make decisions you don't agree with? Respect their load. Do not try to carry it for them, and do not judge how they carry it. Give them the dignity of their own choice. Remember the 4 points we discussed? 1. Only God's kingdom brings true healing. Keep your eyes on the prize. 2. Be fully convinced in your own mind. Take responsibility for your choices. 3. Do not judge or stumble others. Be gentle with the consciences of your brothers. 4. Put love and unity first. The peace of the congregation is more valuable than any health tip. We are a family. We are traveling together through a wilderness, and many of us are wounded or sick. Let us support one another, not by imposing our own remedies, but by reminding each other of the great physician, Jehovah, and his coming kingdom. Let us offer a helping hand, a listening ear, and a comforting scripture. When we show this kind of respect and reasonableness, we prove that we are truly spiritual people. We prove that we are guided by the wisdom from above, which is described in James chapter 3, verse 17 as being first of all pure, then peaceable, reasonable, ready to obey, full of mercy and good fruits. Let us strive to be those reasonable, peaceable Christians today. By doing so, we maintain a close relationship with our brothers and sisters. We protect the precious unity of our congregation. And most importantly, we bring honor to our reasonable and loving God, Jehovah. As we conclude our consideration of today's text, let us take a moment to look forward. The day is coming, and it is coming soon, when we will no longer need to discuss doctors, insurance, therapies, or pain. The day is coming when the load of sickness will be lifted from our shoulders forever. Until that day, let us carry our current loads with endurance, with joy, and with a deep, unfailing love for one another.